Hey guys, welcome to the Learn with Sandra Show channel. I'm Alexandra, and in this space, we help improve your knowledge in English language for exam purpose or just to master everyday communication. So, guys, what are we doing today? Today, we are solving the English Post-UTME past question for the University of Calabar, okay, UNICAL, and we are solving just 20 questions. So, get your pen and paper ready. Let's dive right into it. Question one. Okay, so I am intent dash continuing my course. Okay, so we have to fill in the gap with the appropriate word, right? And looking at this question, I can tell it is under collocation in English, right? And if you can master collocation in English language, it will help you sound very natural. And the thing about collocation is that it can be very tricky because it does not apply to logic. Okay, and there are different categories of it, right? We can have a verb plus a noun. For example, catch a cold, make a decision. Okay, so these are words that are naturally paired together. Okay, we can have adjective plus noun, fast food, heavy rain, strong decision. Okay, these are words that are paired together. Okay, so for this category, it's under adjective plus preposition, right? Intent is an adjective, the options are prepositions, right? So option A is the answer to this question, intent on. Okay, you can say intent on proving yourself, intent on causing trouble. Okay, so the answer to this question, the correct preposition to use is on. We can say intent with, we can say satisfied with, right? We can say angry with, right? We can say as, option C. We can say to, we can say married to, opposed to, kind to. Okay, we can say at, we can say bad at, we can say good at. Okay, so the best answer to this question is on. Question two. So this question wants to test your spelling ability, right? The word is simultaneous, and it is spelled simultaneous. This is a four-syllabic word, right? Simultaneous. Okay, simultaneous. That's how it is pronounced. Okay, so the answer to this question is definitely option D. Question three, we have to choose the word opposite in meaning to the underlying word, and the word is sagacity. Sagacity means wisdom, good judgment. Okay, so the opposite in meaning will be foolishness, and that makes option D the final answer to this question. Question four. Okay, so we are still under antonyms, right? Opposite in meaning. So the word here is ferocious. Okay, ferocious means fierce, it means violent, right? Fierce. And as you can see, option C is synonymous, right? We can also see option B is synonymous. Okay, so the best answer to this question is gentle, because we're looking for opposite in meaning. Okay, so gentle will imply soft, mild, right? Please don't be distracted with option D. Okay, option D is a distractor. When we say domestic, it basically means living near humans, right? When we say domestic animal, right, an animal that can live near humans, right? So it's not the answer to this question, it's a distractor. So the best answer to this question is definitely option A, gentle. Question 5. So in this question, you have to select the word that best captures the meaning of the italicized part of the sentence. Now let's take a look at the sentence. Every visitor to Calabar must visit where photographs and artifacts of early Europeans' colonial presence in Nigeria are kept. So the first thing you want to do is take note of the keywords, the key idea, or the key focus in the italicized phrase. Okay, so we have photographs, we have artifacts, we have it is kept and preserved for Nigerian culture and history. Okay, so let's go to the options, right? Option A, we have archives. Now when you think of archives, what comes to your mind? You think of documents, you think of written records. When you think of ranch, what comes to your mind? You think of animals, you think of farming. When you think of market or you go to the market, what are you doing there? You're either buying or selling. When you think of museum, what comes to your mind? You think of history, you think of culture, you think of artifacts, you see photographs, you think of the preservation of culture. So this is the answer to this question because the keywords in the sentence captures what is typically found in a museum. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option D. Question 6. Okay, so this question is on the nearest in meaning, and the phrase is Achilles' heel, and this phrase is attributed to Greek mythology. So let's talk about it. Now, there was a warrior in Greece named Achilles, and he was the greatest of them all. When he was a baby, his mother wanted him to be immortal, and so she dipped him into a magical river, holding his heel. Now, every part of his body became invisible except for the part where her hand had been. So he grew up to be fierce, fast, unbeatable. He was the champion, the greatest of them all, right? And during the Trojan War, he was, a great warrior in Greece. However, Destiny caught up with him, right? And the prince of Trojan, with the help of the god Apollo, right, shot an arrow and he struck his heel. And then he fell, and that was the end of the great warrior. Okay. So today, Hercules' heel is a single weakness in a strong person. Okay. So that makes option C the final answer to this question. Weak point. Option C is the final answer to this question. Question 7. So we have to choose the word that best completes the sentence. Okay, so the giant hydroelectric project is among the dash of colonial rule in Southern Africa. Okay, so when we speak of inheritance, we think of a personal property. It is usually used with personal property, so we can't use it in this context. When we think of remnants, we think of leftover. It's not ideal for this context. When we think of legacies, we think of long lasting impact. We think of results, we think of consequences. Now, when we think of evidence, we think of proof of something. Okay, so both option C and D sound logical, but the best answer to this question is legacies, because when we think of legacies, matches the historical impact, the historical results that this sentence captures. Because there is a project, we can think of or speak of the ruins are evidence of colonial rule, right? But for a project, legacy is the best answer, because then we capture a structure with results and consequences and impact. Okay, so the best answer to this question is legacies. Question 8. Ukpabio is proficient dash tailoring. So the answer to this question is in. Okay, proficient in. Still under collocation in English language. Okay, adjective and preposition. Okay, so you can be proficient in tailoring, a skill, a subject, a knowledge you use in. Okay, so the final answer to this question is definitely option B. Question 9. Now, question 9 is under antonyms. Okay, so the demonstration was organized by hoodlums. Now, the word is hoodlums, and hoodlums are criminals. Hoodlums are on the streets. They are street criminals. They don't abide by the laws. They are lawless. They are always causing trouble, right? So when we say criminals are synonymous. Thugs are synonymous. Activist is not a direct opposite. It's not a natural opposite, right? Yes, activists fight for change, social change, political change. They resist injustice as well, but in the course of doing that, they can be disruptive. Okay, so it's not a natural opposite. The best answer to this question is soldiers. Soldiers are members of the army. They serve to protect, to defend, right? And they are disciplined. They represent, lawfulness. They represent protection. They represent discipline. Okay, so the best answer to this question, which is a better option, is option D, soldiers. So question 10, we have to choose the word opposite in meaning. Okay, so the word is inadvertent, and this word is a recurring word, guys. So please note it. I've seen it in WIC, I've seen it in JAM, and this is post-UTME, so please note it. It means accidental, right? Not intentional, not planned. Okay, so the answer to this question is premeditated, because premeditated means planned, deliberate. When we say careless, not caring, right? Caring less. Right, when we say wicked, we think of evil. When we think of brutal, we think of violent, we think of cruel, right? So the best answer to this question is definitely option D. Question 11. So we are still under antonyms, and the underlined word is renew, and renew means to make new again. Make new again, okay? So when we say increase is, bigger, rising. Okay, these are the words we think of when we think of increase. When we say reduce is to make smaller, is to make fewer, is to make lesser. Okay, so when we think of deplete, we think of drain, we think of use up, we think of empty, we think of exhaust. Okay, when we think of remove, we think of moving away from where it is. Okay, so the best answer to this question is deplete. Why? Renew means to make new again, and it is best captured by deplete, which means to use up. Okay, to empty, to drain. So option C is the final answer to this question. And 12. So this question is under stress, word stress, okay, and the word is planetarium. Okay, planetarium is stressed on the syllable before realm. Okay, that's the third syllable, right? And the word is made up of the root word planet and arium, which is the suffix. Now, planet as a root word is stressed on the first syllable, planet. Okay, so planetarium together means a place where you see planets. Basically, that's what it means, a place where you go to see planets. Okay, so most words ending with arium, okay, have the stressed on the syllable before rium, like aquarium, okay, solarium, okay. So the syllables are usually before rium, okay. So the best answer to this question is definitely option C, planetarium. Question 13, the word is courtesy. OUR is underlined and it is okay. Option A, we have our, okay, so we have ow and very weak sound. The last sound is very weak, our, okay. Option B, we have court, O and T. Option C, we have shirt, okay, we have sh, and T. So this is the answer to this question, okay. Option D, we have tour, and okay, so tour. So the best answer to this question is option C, shirt, courtesy, okay. Option C, final answer. Question 14. Okay, so we have to choose or select the word that best captures the meaning of the italicized sentence. So when you take a look at the italicized sentence, Nigerians choose their political leaders. We think of voting, and this can only happen in an election. Okay, so the best answer to this question is election. So when we say nomination, nomination is to put forward as a candidate, put someone's name forward. And so within a political party, we can have nomination. Okay, so when we think of appointment, is officially giving someone a position. Okay, and we think of the president, appointing people into offices or ministries, right? So when we say selection, selection is choosing a person, not necessarily a vote. Okay, so it's not necessarily a vote. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option A, election. Question 15. Mother always pays attention to details. Now, pays attention to details is the italicized phrase and it means detail oriented, okay, and that makes option D the final answer to this question, because meticulous means to be careful, to be detail oriented. Okay, when we say frivolous, frivolous means careless, not serious. When we say interesting, it gets your attention. When we say rigid, it means not flexible. So the best answer to this question is option D. The rampage in England shows that youths react the same way under provocation. Now, what does this mean? It means when youths are provoked, they act the same way. That is the simple explanation for this sentence. Okay, so the best answer to this question is option C. Youths act the same way when provoked. Okay, youths in England are very good. No, it is not in the sentence, right? Youths in England are miscreants. No, okay, it's saying that there was a rampage, right? And this shows, right, it does not conclude that youths are miscreants. The conclusion is youths, when they are provoked, they act the same way. Okay, youths provoke people in England. No. Okay, so the best answer to this question, which is the best explanation, is option C. Question 17. So question 17 is on that word stress, and the word is intimacy. Okay, so intimacy is the combination of the root word intimate and AC, which is the suffix. Okay, so intimate as a root word is stressed on the first syllable, and even after adding the suffix, the stress is still in the same position, first syllable, and it is the same for adequate, adequacy, okay, accurate, accuracy, advocate, advocacy, okay, literate, literacy. Okay, we can also have delicate, delicacy. Okay, so the best answer to this question is definitely option A, intimacy. So the word is consideration. Okay, consideration. So the word is stressed on the syllable before shun. Okay, and this rule is quite consistent with other words. Okay, examination. Okay, beautification. Okay, so words that end with shun are usually stressed on the syllable before it. Okay, so the answer to this question is definitely option D, consideration. Question 19. Now, question 19 is under rhyme. And when we speak of rhyme, rhyme is the correspondence of sound between the ending of words. So, words that rhyme have the same last sound. Now, many students have argued this, and I think one of the reasons for this is we've gotten familiar with Peter Piper pick a peck of pickled pepper, and we are convinced that it has to be the first sound. It is not the first sound, guys. It is not the initial, it's not the middle. It is the last sound, and you work your way to the first sound. Start with the last sound. Okay, and questions under rhyme are the simplest, they are the easiest. You don't even need to transcribe. All you need to do is produce the word, pronounce the word, right? Listen to yourself and focus on the last sound. So the word here is purity. The last sound is E, right? Followed by T, followed by E, and then the rest. Okay, so option A, we have plentiful. The last sound is L, so it does not rhyme. Go to option B, security. The last sound is E. Second to the last is T. Okay, it rhymes. Then go to option C. We have purify. The last sound is I. It does not rhyme. I is a diphthong. The last sound in purity is a monophthong. It's a short vowel sound. Okay, so you go to non-entity. The last sound is E followed by T. Okay, it rhymes. But then option B is the final answer, is the best answer, because we have 4 sounds that rhyme from the last. E, E and R, whereas option D has just 3 sounds that rhyme from the last. E, T, and E. So the best answer is option B, security. Question 20. So question 20 is under rhyme. So when words rhyme, they have the same last sound. Okay, rhyme is the correspondence of sound between word endings. Okay, we are looking at last sound, not the first, guys, not the second, not the middle rather, but the last sound. Okay, and then we work our way to the first. Okay, so the word is beautiful, the last sound is Okay, so option A, we have beautify. So what we have is I in beautify, so that's not the answer, it doesn't rhyme. Beautification, the last sound in beautification is it does not rhyme. Okay, option C, dutiful. This is the answer to this question because the last sound in beautiful is the last sound in dutiful is also and then we have u. We also have u in beautiful, and then we have f. Okay, so it rhymes starting from the last sound, right? Option D does not rhyme because the last sound in dignify is I. Okay, so I want to stress this again. When looking at a rhyme, you look at the last sound, not the first sound, guys. The last sound. So this makes option C the final answer to this question. So guys, we've concluded today's tutorial, and it was an amazing time with you guys, solving these questions, improving your knowledge in synonyms, in sounds, rhymes, and all of that. And I'm sure you've learned so much already. Thank you. Do not forget to engage with this video. Subscribe if you haven't. Okay, like, share, comment. I would love to hear from you. Till I see you in my next video. Bye.